Welcome into Celtics Late Night. Jake Eisenberg is here. Jake, we weren't going to do it. We weren't going to do a late show, but the Celtics, they beasted their way to a 127-120 overtime win against the T-Wolves. Jake, man, that was an electric victory, dude. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Ben. I'm doing good, Ben. I mean, I don't know. Win of the season, potentially. This win, it had it all. You got first quarter JB, you got Anthony Edwards and JB going back and forth, and then this is Tatum's best game of the year, like pretty comfortably. Like it may not be best win of the season, but this JT performance, I had Tatum's over 22.5 points in like my same game parlay, and he only has 5 points after the first quarter.
Yeah,
and. Yeah, didn't need to worry too much about that because he had 26 in the fourth and overtime. But man, look, Nickeil Alexander-Walker hits a layup, 104.95 with 4 minutes and 9 seconds to go. And Ben, you're thinking maybe we don't need to do late night.
Delete the stream, delete the graphic. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No need to prepare for a late night show. Who's going to rock up to a late night show after a dreary loss like this, where it's Nickeil Alexander-Walker and slow-mo Carl Anderson, fourth quarter masterclass, scoring all the points, getting all the stops, and just taking it to the seas. And then that's probably a good place to start, Jake, is that juncture in the game, down 9-4 and change remaining. They come out of that timeout, and it's like Tatum, I think it was Scal or Mike Gorman on the call being like, they've got to go for three here. Nope. Tatum, straight downhill, 2 points, mini score at the other end, but then it's a big-ass Horford three at the end of a D. White assist, one of the few good things that Derrick White did in this game, which we'll get to.
Yeah.
And then next play, Anthony Edwards dribbles it off his foot. Okay, finally a stop, and then things get rolling from there. JB gets to the line a couple of times, and then get to the free throw line, miss the second. Huge offensive rebound, swing.
Derrick.
Drew Holiday in the corner.
Drew
Holiday in the corner. Oh my God, up two. And then we get another controversial potential, overruling there where Derrick White gets his hand up. It looked pretty good, but I guess his feet weren't set. But he did look like he got to the ball first.
He got to the ball.
Exactly.
I thought that this would be maybe the moment justice was going to be served, not a day later.
That's right. Yeah, referees, you owe us, guys. Yeah. It's time for vindication and redemption. But it wasn't, and Anthony Edwards, he makes them. We get a look at another sort of pretty crappy game winner attempt there from one of the Jays. In this case, it was Tatum, and he goes to overtime.
I thought it was good. Like 8 seconds left, no timeouts. Get down, like no timeouts. You get downhill, Man, he's been pretty good on the mid-range this season. Like, he's like 44% on the mid-range this season. But, man, when is he going to get one of these, like, game winners to go? Because they all are, like, in and out. And it just would have been, like, question. Would you rather the game winner regulation go in, or we get, like, the explosion in the overtime where it gets downhill on Towns, and then you get the game sealing 3-pointer he's kind of like bouncing on his toes, and we get the mean mug. You can't really go wrong.
Like when's the last time we had a Tatum game winner or like a Celtics game winning buzzer beating shot? Like it was maybe Tatum against the Knicks. Oh,
Derrick
sure.
White.
Okay. Yes.
I'm not sure if that counts.
That's one of those weird ones. It exists in limbo in terms of Celtics fandom and how we feel about that given the outcome of that series. But look, I didn't really like the look just because of the history of those attempts, those like contested mid-range attempts. I mean, we saw it with Jaylen like a game ago, right, where that led to some terrible feelings that have been laying sort of, I won't say dormant, but like inside of us for the last couple of days. But anyway, they go to overtime. And maybe talk us through it, Jay, because it's Tatum time. Like, yeah, we had some good moments from JB. He was aggressive getting downhill, getting to the line a few times as well. But like Jason Tatum just owned the fuck out of overtime.
Well, look, I gotta. I know a few of you here are in the playback room, but I think this you gotta see the last 47 seconds. I've got it queued up here for this. Nice. This is what I was feeling. Take him, JT.
The Giannis stepping back to charge.
That's a foul.
That's a foul.
Oh, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, we'll take that. Yes, sir.
Come on, Holiday.
JT.
Come on!
That's it. Let's go.
Let's fucking go!
Yes, sir.
Come on! Bring that Lakers fan back in this chat.
God.
Come in here.
Yeah, where's Lakers fan? Come on.
Woo!
Oh my god, dude! I wish I was there. That looks so much fun, dude. That's awesome. That was me. Well, actually, I had a meeting during overtime. I couldn't watch it live, so that was not me. But even rewatching it after the fact, so much fun. Shout out to everyone in the chat here. I've seen mention we've got multiple Phils in the chat. Shout out to all the Phils filling up the chat room, if you will.
Oh boy, here we go.
And look, while you're here, like the vibes are high. Subscribe to the First of the Floor YouTube channel if you're new here. Like the stream. Like if you just click that button, it's like 2 seconds of your time. It's a twitch of the finger or the thumb, depending on your trackpad form, and it just puts this in front of so many more people who are just going to come in here and get the same good Celtics vibes you guys are getting. Jake's got the shades on.
Sunny's on. I had him on by accident to start the stream because it's a beautiful day here in Tasmania. But look, I was shooting hoops this morning, went for a swim. I didn't make nearly as many shots as Jason Tatum today. But man,
nervous energy?
I just getting them up. I don't know about you. I can't listen to a podcast and shoot hoops because like I can't like do two things at once. Like I just miss every single shot. So I switched to the tunes. I'm really on like a retro, Green Day, Oasis, Chili Peppers kind of kick at the moment. And then I started knocking them down. But man, dude, 45 from JT. I mean, like that's like, he has 38 against the Pacers. Obviously, he got a few extra points here in overtime. But to drop 45 on the T-Wolves, I mean, obviously they're missing Gobert and Conley, but we're missing Porzingis, who I think I've just decided that he's the third most important player on this team. Like watching a game where D. White and Drew can struggle, to quote the great Joe Titi here, Porzingis has like the lowest variance offense because of the post-ups and because of like the high field goal percentages he's able to get with some of his looks. And you just really miss that in crunch time. And just like the defensive end. But yeah, the performance of them in the fourth quarter is just like, come on.
Yeah, but I mean, you mentioned the defense, and both Jays were involved in locking Ant down in the fourth quarter and overtime. They both did such a good job of that. There was still a huge Cat 3 where it was like both Jays up on Ant late in, I want to say, overtime, and they were both sort of swarming on Ant, just get the ball out of his hands, and like your two best defenders, the Jays, like they're approaching their prime, if not in the early stages of their prime, Jays swarming Anthony Edwards. He kicks it to Cat. Cat hits a huge 3. They go up 3. So many moments in the game where you're like, fuck, no, like that's it. We can't come back from this, especially being down 9 with 4 minutes to go in regulation. And yet the Jays just kept finding ways, whether it was defensively, obviously offensively, both of them in overtime were incredible. Like we're celebrating Tatum here, but like JB got to the line a couple of times on like kamikaze, suicidal, I hope that word doesn't get me banned from YouTube here, just like charges to the rim, reckless, and got himself to the line and knocked him down. 30 of 31 as a team from the line, Jake.
What the heck, dude? Luke Kornet, he saved it. He saved us. Ice in his veins.
Yeah.
They borrowed some of Luke Kornet's ice in his veins. Dude, 30 from 31. Absurd. And look, I'm really excited to go back and watch the fourth quarter because there was a lot of settling in this game in the first few quarters. JT, like the fact that JT was able to kind of end this game the way that he did when he kind of cruised through the first, especially the first quarter, kind of the second quarter, also the third quarter. And to see him do what he does in the fourth quarter to get downhill, get to the line, not settle. He's got these guys on a yo-yo getting back and forth, using the screens, getting downhill. Like, you love the mentality of these guys in the fourth quarter and overtime. And I feel like that's been consistent. Like, you're going to have to hit big shots from 3 in the NBA down the stretch. But they've, again, in the Pacers game, getting to the mid-range, like getting to like different spots. And Tatum, especially, I feel like, that Towns play in overtime, taking these guys and really using the screens. I'm excited to go back and watch, like getting McDaniels and getting Edwards just a little bit off them as opposed to just going straight up ISO like they did in overtime in the first Wolves matchup. Let Horford, the big beautiful man, set a beautiful screen and just get a little bit on the hip and then attack, especially when there's no Gobert. Like, get downhill and get to the rim. Like, it was glorious.
So much to unpack there. Like, Al was awesome. I want to save Al for later because it's just like to be expected at this point. But it was nice to see Tatum kind of win the battle against Jaden McDaniels eventually. He certainly wasn't early in the game. He was certainly causing, a lot of grief for both Jays, but particularly Tatum. He's like one of a short list of players who can really discombobulate Jason Tatum and stopping him from getting the looks that he wants and even getting into the actions that generate the looks that he wants. And he was doing that early in this game, but then foul trouble, like good, clever work by the Celtics to be like, oh, okay, you want that smoke? Let's get you into the action. Let's tempt you, get you some early fouls. And that's exactly what happened. And he wasn't even a factor late in the game because I think he fouled out or he had 5 fouls. He fouled out, right?
He fouled out, but his 5th foul, he actually had some really bad moments. Like, he was part of the reason why Derrick White got that offensive rebound. And then he also had that take foul on Tatum for the 5th foul. And McDaniels, as good as he can be, he can be quite volatile. And, he broke his hand punching a wall. He had the clay dust up earlier in the season where they, go back and forth, which leads to the Draymond Green choking situation. He is volatile, and it felt like for whatever, he airballed a 3 also down the stretch as well. Whereas in that first matchup, he could not miss. But yeah, this T-Wolves team, I know there was no Gobert. Conley, obviously, they didn't have as well. But I say it all the time, the best way to beat the Celtics is to slow the Celtics down. JT and JB, discombobulate them. These guys have wing defenders for days. Like, Nickeil Alexander-Walker has been just a menace all year long. Great wing defender. Slow-Mo, another good defender. I mean, fuck Slow-Mo, dude. Like, he was ridiculous in this game. Like, the defense was really good, forcing the ball out of the hands of Towns and out of the hands of Edwards, and then only to be kicked to Kyle Anderson with 5 to 7 seconds left on the shot clock. And he's hitting like these... I swear he was horizontal when he hit some of these shots, like over Al Horford. And like, what did he end up on the night? Like, he was ridiculous. He was...
Especially in the fourth quarter.
7 for 12. Yeah, down the stretch when you're trying to come back down 9, it's just like every time.
17, 5, and 8.
Yeah, dude.
That's crazy.
Incredible. There was a reason why Celtics fans really wanted to trade for this guy. He's a really, really good player.
Yeah.
Whoa, big take from Tony in the chat here. I'm not sold on the Wolves. I honestly think if we can meet them in the finals, it's a sweep. I can't get there. I can't get there, but I think we can win.
I'm quite taken with the Wolves. I could say that now in hindsight, now that we won, but that's a stressful matchup. And the second quarter, the third quarter, and this is credit to both teams' defense. Absolute slugfest. Like, at one point, the Celtics scored 1 field goal in, I think it was like 7 minutes, and their lead only reduced by 3 points because both teams were just going so hard in the paint, literally defensively, and just like flying across screens, getting out to closeouts, just really aggressive on both ends. And, for a while there, it looked like the Wolves had us. It looked like their defense was a step above ours. They were more in tune and in sync with one another. And it just felt like, for whatever reason, we were just taken so out of our rhythm offensively that kind of eventually translated to the defensive side. And I was worried for the fate and the outcome of this game. And again, going back to it, because it's so crazy. Down 9, 4 minutes to go. And like, you talk about the rewatch, Jake. What is more fun than putting on a game? You know the outcome. Let's start here. 4 minutes to go, down 9, and watch. And you know what's going to happen. There's nothing more enjoyable than rewatching a game from that perspective. But
dude,
credit to the T-Wolves defense, man. That's insane today.
Absolutely. And like, this fourth quarter, like, I had almost just been like, okay, look, we're going to lose this game, but I thought the Celtics have played well in this fourth quarter. I think the defense has been good. They're just knocking down like tough contested shots. The Jays are getting big buckets down the stretch. It's just like the Wolves are just punishing, kill shot. But the mentality of this team, dude, again, I was someone who early in the season when people would be like, this team loses this game last year, I pushed back. I thought it was too early to say, but this is a game that last year's team loses. And it wouldn't have even been like, that big of a deal. Like, this is just a tough loss, and they happen in the NBA. But like, this mentality, dude. What was the quote from Tatum? Spirited. The mentality of this team. I saw Tatum's quote, and Joe's been saying this all season long. Like, I need these guys to be open-minded. I need these guys to be like, accept that it's not going to go right. Bad shit's going to happen. And just be like, that's fine. Accept it. Be ready for it. And then let's move forward and fight back. And Tatum as well, like that, he said that in the post-game press conference, was like, you got to be open-minded. And Tatum, man, he's so coachable. Like he took on the Bradisms of never too high, never too low. Like they used to be like one of his like favorite things. And now to hear, I think, I don't watch every post-game press conference, but this is the first time I've noticed him use the word open-minded, buying into the Joe Mazzulla thing, which I think is a great philosophy. It's like, you're going to play awesome defense, and fucking Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Kyle Anderson are going to hit shot after shot after shot in your face. And you just got to be like, all right, stick with it. Keep playing hard on defense. Eventually, you're going to get stops. We're getting what we want on the other end, and eventually the dam broke, and dude, you get this.
Buy-in is at the foundation level of the NBA team importance pyramid. Without buy-in, there's no point continuing to scale the pyramid because nothing that sits above that matters. Without the team buying in, we've seen this at scale on a number of teams, and the opposite of that, the antithesis, is the Lakers, where we've got some issues now with Darvin Ham. Love to see it from a Schadenfreude perspective, where there's no buy-in, and he's tried to implement some new offensive and defensive philosophies. No one's picking up what he's putting down, and the record, reflects that essentially. But with the Celtics, Joe is laying down his philosophies, and you're starting to see that, like you said, articulated by the players in front of the press, which is one of the ultimate indicators of buy-ins, when you start to almost hear the coach's words come out of the player's mouth. And speaking of the coach, we've got some remarks from Joe Mazzulla about the late game execution in this one.
Joe, you were down 9 with about 4 minutes to go, and then you outscored them 32-16 the rest of the way. What went into that big of a turnaround?
Game management. Sometimes when you're down, it's a really good team, and when you have a lead and then you lose a lead, you can have a tendency to play sped up basketball and play a little panicky basketball. And I thought there was distinct moments of brilliance when we just got to our spacing, attacked the right matchup, and made the right play for the team. And I knew if we could just get back to that, just manage our spacing, manage the matchup, make the play, we didn't need to try to win the game on one possession. So I thought our guys did a great job just regaining our poise, regaining just our spacing, and we were able to execute. And then I thought we had some big time rebounds, big time stops down the stretch.
Moments of Brilliance, Jake. Can we rename the podcast the Moments of Brilliance show? I feel like it's more in tune with this year's team.
Man, dude, Julius in the chat. I like Joe. I like Joe too, man.
Same, man.
Like, while we're on Joe, he before the game, with a little fuck you to the NBA.
Oh yeah, you caught that?
Yeah, talking about, hey guys, you never asked me what my favorite scene in the town is. And it's the last scene where he leaves the note on the FBI agent's windscreen, and it's just, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Which was just a perfectly crafted way to tell the NBA, go fuck yourself. And dude, he's a little psychopath. And
yeah,
that mentality, I think, people underrate that about him. He's bringing that to this team. Like Tatum saying, we've got a great memory. We remember playing these guys in Minnesota. I'm excited for the Thunder to come into the Garden as well, because these guys apparently remember this shit. And I'm very comfortable saying that this team, mentality-wise, is different. Man, the Ime team didn't even have this, dude. This team in the fourth quarter this season, again, the players are always different. This team in the fourth quarter in the clutch is way better than the Ime team. And part of that's Porzingis, but Porzingis was not there tonight. And this was one of the best fourth quarter clutch time performances we've seen from this team.
I think it helps that the Jays are 2 years older and 2 years distanced from their early 20s. I use my early 20s as a reference point there, even though it's probably irrelevant when talking about NBA superstars. We do have another remark from Joe here as well, and this relates to all of you, particularly those local to the Boston area.
So there's been 2 times that I've actually showed I have a pulse, and tonight wasn't one of them, and it's because of the crowd. And I'm not going to say we're 18-0 at home without that. And so, to me, I talked about this before a little bit. Like, we want to create this identity of playing Celtic basketball because the fans are really smart and they know when we suck and they know when we don't. And they've seen great basketball for a long period of time. So usually if they're cheering, it's because you're doing something right. And I think over the course of this season, they've seen moments of greatness. They've seen moments of Celtic basketball, and they've like responded to that really well. And I think that's had a huge impact on our team. And to me, especially being from here, like, there's nothing better than getting the Garden, the crowd, to appreciate Celtic basketball. And so I think the connectivity between us and the identity of the city and the identity of the arena is kind of building something for us. And tonight specifically, even when we did suck, which we did at times, they did a good job of keeping us in it. And I think that's important to have that relationship with the crowd and with the city.
Dude, I got tingles.
I know.
I got tingles.
Me too.
Here we go. Joe, and like this home thing, 18-0. That is like crazy, dude. And like this is the second overtime win at home. And I'm not sure I can give full credit to the crowd for this one, but the crowd definitely factor in this one. Tatum in like the immediate post game on the sideline after the game, like him talking about like the crowd started getting going. In the back of my mind is like, the undefeated streak, I'm not ready for this undefeated streak to be over.
Yeah.
The Pistons game, they're down 20 at halftime. The crowd's booing. Like Philly boos, and I think it's important for home crowds to boo at times, but I think it's important to boo when necessary. I think Philly is too quick on the trigger with booing. But the Celtics crowd absolutely should have been booing this team at the halftime of the Pistons game. And I give full credit to the Celtics crowd for that Pistons win, and it becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy. Like we're 18-0 at home. The crowd wants us to be 18-0 at home, and then the players start feeling it. You go to the playoffs, everybody knows nobody wins in Boston, and it just becomes like this thing that everybody starts to talk about and believe. And next thing you know, we're fucking gonna break that record and go undefeated at home in the playoffs.
Yeah, well, back home in a couple of days against Ime Udoka's Rockets to defend that. Like, that's a spicy little situation there, and we will not unpack the Ime situation any further. If you want to hear that, go back to a couple of days ago's podcast, yesterday's pod, in fact, and you can hear our thoughts on that. I suppose we should start to run down the list of like miscellaneous notes, Jake. We've kind of gotten to the core moments of the game. I saw Tatum. This is like my most recently written miscellaneous note, grabbing his wrist in overtime. I know this is very me to like get angsty about like potential injuries, but did you see that as well? It obviously didn't impact him, but the wrist thing has been a concern stretching over numerous seasons now. Well,
so it happened. Did you say it was early? Because that was when someone in the playback stream pointed it out to me. Was like he was grabbing his wrist early, but then like the T-Wolves scored and like he like grabbed it, inbounded it, and then was like quick. Like he didn't even think about it. I just think like it probably hurts, but I don't know. I don't think it's a real thing. I don't think it matters. Like he just look. I don't know. Do you need anything else after seeing what he did? I guess throughout the game, like it hurt. It was hurt early, and then he was able to like be a two-way, like legit top one guy in the NBA down the fourth quarter and overtime against like some of the best wing defenders in the league, I think, and knock down all his free throws. So it's like even when he takes a second to stop and maybe feel that the wrist is sore, still able to knock down all of them except for maybe one important one. But I liked Joe's strategy there to like actually tell him to miss that one. Derrick White crashing.
Yeah.
Right.
That was the call, right? Just like we drew it up. Yeah, I mean, all I need from the wrist is 16 wins in the playoffs. I maintain that stance. What do you got?
Jaylen Brown held Anthony Edwards to 1 for 7 in the fourth quarter and overtime. I forget did we talk about that yet? But
not specifically. We just talked about the good defense all around.
That 1 for 7 fourth quarter overtime, whereas last game in Minnesota, that was a problem. Ant went like toe-to-toe with the Jays and came out on top. And, JB talking about him being his little brother, talking about, again, the mentality of this team. Like, they're taking shit personally. And, Tatum heard this shit about SGA and Halliburton and Anthony Edwards and, like, JB talking about how what happened last game, seeing what Anthony Edwards likes to do every night. He likes to go against the big names and the big teams. And JB was like, any other night, I'm happy for my little brother to get that done. But I was thinking, it's not happening tonight. And what did Anthony Edwards end up with for the game here? Because like I definitely he hit some monster shots, but 11 for 25. Like honestly, that's still to do that against this Celtics defense is still impressive. 3 for 6 for 3, and it felt like Edwards hit some big shots. But when it mattered, fourth quarter overtime, when the defense cranked up I love that the Jays, man, like as good as Holiday and White are. I've talked about how I think JT is our best isolation defender, like when the chips are down. But when JB's locked in as well, they just have the size. It's similar to the way that Tatum and Jaylen struggle with dealing with guys like Jalen McDaniels or even getting switched onto Bam Adebayo or Draymond Green. Like there's just like these possessions down the stretch, guys that are big, athletic, strong, and have like that combination of the athleticism are so hard to deal with. And when JB's locked in like that and has been all season long, tough to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely. The biggest knock on Ant's game, maybe the 5 turnovers and 2 of them in overtime, which is like 5 minutes of play. So hugely impactful. And I think, we had JB defending him or one of the Jays throughout that entire stretch in overtime. And I mean, JT, obviously the better defender through and through. But if JB has that like narrative-based empowerment where like he understands his role in this like broader story and narrative and why it matters and why that matchup matters, and like no one is more locked in than JB in those moments, and he definitely was feeling that. I was feeling it watching these guys in this game. So as far as other missed points, the refereeing still kind of questionable. Like it wasn't like the pregame meeting between the refs. These guys had a rough experience with our department in the corporation of the NBA. So we're going to make sure that we bring the good stuff and make sure we ref a fair game, a consistent game. None of the above happened, Jake.
Dude, the Anthony Edwards grabbing Tatum's jumping, like the tapping arm. Yeah. What is that, dude? I didn't think that the refs were especially good on either side. I thought that but like, the refereeing is just terrible at the moment. But that was like probably the most egregious one. Was like, there's one thing to look at. It's right in front of you. There's like nothing else happening off the ball, and as soon as you threw it up, you missed like the play started, and 0.3 seconds later, you've missed like the most blatantly obvious thing that could possibly happen. So that was ridiculous. Miscellaneous thing from the box score. Turnovers. One, the Celtics only had 8 total turnovers for the game.
Pretty good.
But Jaylen and Jason combined for 3. So Jaylen had 2. Tatum had 1. Like Tatum had that stretch earlier in the year where everybody was like, what's going on with Tatum? And then the negative on-off stuff. Some of that was the missed shooting, but so much of that was like him leading the league in like turnovers across that stretch. He's really cleaned the turnovers up lately. And for him to have a game like tonight where there's like all these wing defenders that are like nabbing at his ankles, and for him to not turn the ball over, like when he's not turning the ball over and he's getting shots up on goal, he's just impossible to stop. So like the low turnovers, that's like one of the most important pieces for the playoffs is like the Miami PTSD turnover things. And like to have games like this tonight in high leverage situations without turnovers, I love it, Ben. I love it a lot.
Yeah, you know what else is awesome? JT's 3-point shooting percentage on the season. Not even a recent trend on the season. Do you know what it's up to now?
37.4, is that right?
It's 37 flat per cleaning the glass. So that like rules out garbage time. So maybe that rules out that like awesome late game 3 he had in Philly, in Indiana a couple of games ago. But 37, a clean, pure cleaning the glass stat, factoring out heaves and stuff like that.
An ethical 37%.
That's right, exactly. Well put. And then Jaylen Brown just a smidge under 36% as well. So it's happening. It's happening.
It's coming up. This is the thing. Like these guys have been so good all season long, but like the one thing that hasn't quite been there is a 3-point shot, and it's like if that comes, I mean, then like forget about it. And actually, thinking about like the narrative of the season, the ebbs and flows, like this season, the story really has been Porzingis, Derrick White, Al Horford. Really Derrick White and Porzingis, like those two guys. Drew Holiday's been great as well, but Derrick and Porzingis have been like really lifting up this team and exceeding expectations massively. And JJ Redick curses Derrick White, which we've covered extensively. The curse continued a lot spot tonight. Yeah, JJ Redick, enough out of you. Obviously,
We invited him on the show.
Yeah, I mean, you're still welcome to come on the show, but like, you're not allowed to talk about. You're not allowed to have Derrick White on the show anymore. Porzingis obviously out tonight, but lately, it's been Tatum and Jaylen carrying this team. And like the ebbs and flows of the season, you want to see this, like, your superstars, you notch another like game with Jaylen and Jason having 30 apiece as we chase Kobe and Shaq and MJ and Pippen for the leaders in the 30 and 30 nights. And to see these guys really take it on a night like this, I mean, it's beautiful.
Yeah, we've had a lot of tools this season. It's been a lot of fun, a lot of tools in the tool bag, but, sometimes you just need a fucking hammer and a nail, man, and that's what JT and JB are. And to see all the tools, I'm going to mess up this analogy here, but the parts stripped back and whatever the machine is just left to its core parts, which are the Jays, to see them just do their thing and cook without all of those ancillary pieces, which seems like an understatement on the value that the other guys have brought. But just bear with me. That's been awesome. And we've kind of seen that the last couple of games where it's just been stripped back to just the Jays balling while some of these other guys struggle.
It's just Danny Ainge. Hey, shout out to you, man, for drafting these two guys, because Jaylen's been playing like some of the best basketball of his career. The decision making, I think he's been a slightly more out of control the last few games, but again, he's still looking to make the right play. I mean, Tatum, he's still fucking 25 years old, and like, as good as his team is, and like just the existence of the Boston Celtics, like, you see the Jays go off like they do tonight, and we got more of this to come. Like, these guys, 25, 27 years old, like, we're really just entering the primes of these guys, which is scary to think about. And, you think about how far they've come and how far we have to go still. Like, you love to see it.
Man, sit back, pour that into a glass, add to the cocktail recipe the fact that the Sixers lost today, that we've got the struggling Bucks tomorrow, with a, chance to go up with a 5-game lead in the standings on them, and Philly are already back further than that. Life is good. I can't believe Jason Tatum is only 25 years old, dude. It's insane. Before we move on I want to get to Derrick White, because that's something that is causing me stress in my life. We've got just under 100 people here. So if you're new to the channel, so please subscribe to the show. Also, welcome and thanks for joining us. But make sure you subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, engage, help us navigate the algorithm, all that good stuff. Obviously, it's competitive out here. Lots of Celtics shows, and they're all great. But we're trying to do our best to get our head above water there. So thank you for that. Derrick White, Jake. So the JJ Redick pod 6 days ago. So that's the Jazz game onwards. Good for the last 4 games. Since then, 39% from the floor. Not great. Still somehow 38.5% from 3. And a plus 10.5 overall, but just one free throw attempt per game, like not nearly as aggressive. Getting downhill, he seems really hesitant. 38% effective field goal percentage, which is no good, and not the Derrick White that we know. He really seems in his head right now. He seems really discombobulated on both ends. Like, you would expect him to uphold things defensively, right, while the shot's not falling. So it's like there's almost more to it, because he's slacking on all fronts right now.
What the hell did JJ Redick do, dude? Because, like, you're absolutely right. Look, the shooting, I honestly kind of thought that Derrick White was probably due for some kind of shooting slump. He's just been, like, scorching hot at, like, 43, 44%. And, like, I think it's pretty clear that he's made a real shooting bump after San Antonio. Like, the form's better. We've got a big enough sample size where he's like, 38, 39, 40%, but he's been like at the crazy, crazy clip. So I was ready for that. But it's been the other stuff, like the floater game. He's like really short on all like the weird Derrick White floaters that he always makes. And then the most confounding thing is the defense. He's like out of position. He's like overhelping. It's like very weird. Like the stuff that Derrick White, like that got him into the NBA, that made him the guy that he is today, has been off, which has been like, that's been the weirdest thing. So the good thing is that's gonna even out. That's gonna come back. Maybe he should grow hair back. I don't think he has the option, I'm gonna guess, to grow the hair back. Because like if he could,
can he? Yeah.
I'm not sure. But look, I think, maybe he's saving it for prime time tomorrow. Julius Rickles in the chat here. I like that call. Maybe he, like if you're super hungover, sometimes like that can be actually a valuable state of mind. Like you're just like, fuck it, dude. I don't care if I've got to do this important thing. I'm just going to let it fly. Like one of the most.
This is going to suck.
Yeah.
I'm just going to do it.
Just going to let it go. Like I played golf on the second day of my bachelor party, and one of the best rounds of golf I've ever played in my life because I was just like couldn't care less. I'm just letting this thing fly. And so maybe tomorrow you're dead on your legs. You just got to play and go against Giannis. A couple of floaters go down, and we'll be back on track. I'm not worried about it long term, but I'm glad to see everybody kind of pick it up for Derrick.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he bounces back. He's such an important part of the Celtics defense because one of the things they've done so well this year is peel switching, and it's a standard action in NBA defenses and even in other pro leagues. But the communication that the Celtics have defensively to time those peel switches, and like just an example of a peel switch is if you get beaten off a screen or caught up on a screen and you end up trailing your man, the defender in the corner will come out of the corner to help and stop their drive to the rim, and you'll literally peel off and run to the corner to cover that corner man. So that's peel switching, and if done effectively and with good, astute, in-sync communication, it's done really well, and that's how you see sort of no one ever losing their man, or if they do, no one losing the ball handler, the driving ball handler, the rim threat. And in this game, those two middle quarters, it didn't feel like the Celtics were in sync in their switching on that front. And it comes down to the trailing defender, the person who's usually defending the ball handler in the pick and roll, to actually call out that the peel switch needs to occur. And it just felt like Derrick White had his head down. He was in his feelings, in his head, and he wasn't really calling that out. And, I saw Sam Hauser get caught up in a similar action. He called that shit out straight away. So it does seem there's like something more substantial going on with Derrick White. But, that's life, right? We all have that in our lives. We all have that in our jobs. It never lasts, usually, for most people. So of all people, I would expect perfect Derrick White to be able to pull himself out of that. Maybe it requires Jake Eisenberg.
Yeah, look, I might have
stepping
to,
it up. 6-star hotel.
I know. I might have to fly out to Milwaukee.
Wine and dine.
Because I've got a big date night with my wife tonight. So I actually had to bail on the mistress this evening. So, these are
jealousy is a factor.
And it was an easy choice. After tonight, Derrick didn't really deserve the priority on this one. But look, Derrick, honestly, though, has struggled with confidence in his career. Like, he's needed guys and people in his life to really instill confidence and instill belief in him. Like Pop, he always talks about being a guy that instilled this in him. And how often have we been like, Derrick White, be aggressive. We know you can do this. And like this season, it's been like the confidence has been insane. I did think that he still had a quick trigger tonight, which I thought was important, was he's been like, he still wasn't like, hesitant to shoot. But maybe like, he's hung his head a little bit and just lost a little bit of confidence. And so he'll find it again, like as he always does. But he has gone through these stretches with the Celtics, both kind of playoff runs. And again, as you said, this is life. Tatum hasn't been a perfect player all season long. We have been due for Derrick White to like not be perfect because Derrick White being a legitimate all-star, not something that anybody saw coming. Like, maybe we thought it was possible, like on the absolute fringes, but not like for him to have a real actual all-star case and be like a 17, 18 point per game guy on 50, 40, 90 while also being all defense. Like, maybe like bring those expectations down just a tiny, tiny bit. But for him to be able to do that and operate the pick and roll, yeah, look, maybe you got to get over there and moisturize that beautiful bold dome. Thanks, Jimmy, and in the chat here. But yeah, I think, but he did have some nice pick and rolls late. I think I still trust him. He had a really nice play late, getting downhill and kicking out for 3. So I still trust him, but it's definitely notable. And Derrick and JJ Redick needs to repent, blood sacrifice, something. I don't know.
Yeah, and look, it's another reason why you got to subscribe to the channel, because we're going to keep trying to put crazy stuff out there to try and reverse the jinx and repent, as you said, Jake, and try and get this thing turned around and get Derrick White back on track. But semi-related point or very related point is that Richard White, Derrick White's dad, just confirmed he's coming back on the podcast roughly this time next week, a week from now, so Thursday night next week at about 8 p.m. live here on YouTube Eastern Standard Time. So it's his second appearance on the show for Ricky Dubs, and which no one's ever called him. And we're looking forward to him coming back.
Well, that's definitely what I'll be calling Mr. White when he comes on the Ricky Dubs. Welcome back, friend of the podcast. Look, if there's one way to turn around the curse, is to get the man who helped create, I should say, the beautiful man that is Derrick White. I mean, we're doing our best out here.
I know. We're doing our best. We're doing everything we can.
Yeah, like we're really trying. Like we're small, but we punch above our weight as far as turning around the Celtics' fortunes where possible. Like even House Money getting in on the action, 2 for 5 from 3. He took one just crazy ill-advised 3. Like he made the 2 and then just sprint downhill, fading to the right, over a contest. I was like, I respect it, but let's ease up on that one. Luke Kornet,
the corn dog,
good game.
Corn Hub. Because there was a bit of our Kornet double big going on early, and I know that's kind of one of our least favorite, big combinations or lineup combinations.
But in this matchup, when they're playing Towns and Reed, I was like, okay, Joe, I'm like, I can't give you full credit because you've just been going to this regardless at the moment. So I can't say that he did it because it was for the matchup, but it does work in this matchup when they're playing Nas Reed and Towns.
Yeah, and we're talking about confidence and how it might be waning for Derrick White, but for Luke, it seems like it's at an all-time high. And where that seems to be, most demonstrated is just his ability. It's simple stuff for a third-string big, but just catching high and finishing at the rim early in the season. We saw it last year as well. Just didn't have the cool hands, Luke. Bad pun, I apologize, but just wasn't consistently able to catch the ball, which is like a foundational skill for anyone who plays a sport, let alone professionally. And he's just that alone, his ability to be available for a dump off and then finish with high efficiency and then defend pretty well, like kind of defend the rim, not too bad. Great backpedaling if he does get brought out to the perimeter there by a perimeter player. Definitely, we go back to that buy-in. It feels like Luke Kornet is really in sync with like what the team's overall objectives are as well. So that's great. Speaking of perfect human beings, Al Horford.
Oh, come on.
Just under 40% from 3 for the season. And, these last couple of games where we've not seen so much Porzingis, he was out for one of the Pacers games. One of the Pacers games. Al Horford just continues to be the ultimate like stepper-upper and is so efficient and just gives the team what they need. And in this game, 5 assists, like just moving the ball, 8 rebounds, only 9 points, but like all massively impactful points. And defensively, really awesome late defensive possession on Cat, where it was that baseline out of bounds play, and it was just out to Cat, ISO on the free throw line to Cook, and Horford just completely shut him down. Cat's in his prime, Horford's 37, arguably still in his prime apparently.
I was going to say, also still in his prime. I mean, Horford did. Firstly, I had Horford assists in my same game parlay. Shout out FanDuel. That was a freaking lock, dude. Like when Porzingis is out, you just know Big Al is bringing it. And we talked about the Nickeil Alexander-Walker cuts it or gets the lead to 9, and then I forgot they actually got it back to 9. 3 minutes and like 35 seconds left, and then we come back down the other end, and Al Horford hits a massive 3 to cut it to 6 with 3 minutes and 20 seconds to go. Like, this guy is just freaking nails clutch every game. Like, and the defense of this guy played, like, how many? He's definitely not playing tomorrow. I was like maybe hoping early when we had like a little bit of a lead, like maybe Horford will be able to get some rest and maybe they stretch it and play him tomorrow. But 38 minutes tonight. Yeah, he's not playing tomorrow, but this is what he does. He's like, I'm emptying the tank. I'm getting this Celtics team a win. We're going to keep this undefeated home streak going. And it's just, what do you need from him? And he's going to give it to you. Like, honestly, Julius Rickles in the chat, I could see Al as a finals MVP. Who's to say? Who's to doubt this man at this point? Like, who knows?
Certainly one in all of our hearts, that's for sure. I suppose as we look to try and wrap this up, Jake, we should look ahead to tomorrow's matchup. Much less than 24 hours from now. Interestingly, so Jay King had this from Drew Holiday after the game. Quote, we're a good team. We've beaten them before, referring to the Bucks, and I'm very confident that we have a good chance to beat them again. So to be able to go back to Milwaukee should be fun. I was there for 3 years and we did great things, but now I'm on to better things, Jake. And then another quote from Drew after the game. Quote, we've been better than that. We've beat them before. I'm very confident that we have a good chance to beat them again. So I think to be able to go back to Milwaukee should be fun. Again, a place where I was there for 3 years and we did great things there, but I'm on to better things. Was that the same quote? The same answer, but different wording. That's very annoying of me to copy and paste the same quote twice and read it out on the show live on YouTube. What do you got, Jake?
The key message there, I'm on to better things. And I think, objectively true.
It's a dig, though. It's a big dig at the Bucks there.
Absolutely. He is the other Bucks are full strength tomorrow. I think Dame is healthy, but he might have the personal things. I just looked at the odds for tomorrow. The Celtics for the second time all year are underdogs. And pretty heavy underdogs here as well. Plus 5.5. And that's actually So I actually might get on that. You rarely even get the chance to bet on the Celtics as an underdog. And I don't know, man. I think the Celtics can win tomorrow. You're going to the problem is we don't know about Porzingis. And so, do we think that the knee thing is actually a thing? Is it, or is it just the classic rest Al Horford, rest Porzingis flip-flop on the back-to-back? I don't know.
Well, KP was out there warming up before the game tonight in the Garden, and then Joe, apparently, I haven't seen the direct quote, said that he's not worried about the knee contusion thing. So that kind of, reading between the lines there, sort of reeks of just resting him and interchanging our, two elite-ish bigs for each game. And just looking at Bucks Reddit here, there's a story from USA Today saying that Dame is playing tomorrow versus the Celtics. So they'll be full strength-ish.
That could be good.
We'll be without Al, but we'll have a nice rested KP, who hopefully the eye is healed, and you would imagine, obviously these guys are going to be tired, the Celtics guys, right? They've just played overtime straight on a plane, I would imagine, to Milwaukee. But the vibes on that plane are going to be absolutely insane after the nature in which they won this game. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm putting my money on the C's.
I wonder if they're building in any potential of resting one of the Jays. That's why the line's so big, because I think all of that goes to show that that KP's playing. So KP plays. What's the money line? Ty Coffee in the chat asked plus 200. So I'm going to be betting 1 unit on the plus 5.5, but I'll be sprinkling the money line as well. Because if you're telling me that you're getting Porzingis, who's rested, and then you're getting the Jays, I know they played an overtime game tonight, but I know Tatum, I know Jaylen. If you're getting Derrick White and Drew Holiday as well, I get that they're going to be tired, but this Bucks team fucking frauds, dude. Fraudulent. And the pressure's going to be all on them. This is like a free roll for the Celtics. This game almost, if they win, it's counts for 2. If you win this game after playing an overtime game the night before, then having to fly to Milwaukee, you're missing Al Horford. The Bucks are full strength, needing a win, and then the Celtics win, it counts for 2. But if they lose, then it doesn't matter. It's there's every excuse, for what it means long term, for the matchup between these two teams. Not worried about it. And then if this team was a really gritty defensive team, if this was flipped, right? And we played the Bucks tonight and we won in overtime, and then we had to fly to Minnesota and play the Timberwolves, I would be 0% chance for winning that game.
Yeah, don't even go.
Don't even bother. Rest everybody. But the Bucks team's so fucking squishy. That you're gonna bully Dame, you're gonna bully Malik Beasley, you're gonna bully Chris Middleton. So from that perspective, I think that they can actually just hang. It could be a bit of a shootout.
They're going to be motivated. Like
they're gonna be
the
motivated.
Bucks, as terrible as they are, and as much as we despise them, second in the East there, and the opportunity to just add that 5-game cushion, very enticing. But as you say, you lose. There's still a nice 3-game cushion.
Yeah.
We have our easiest part of the schedule coming up in March. I haven't got the exact quote here, but Tatum was like asked about it. He was like, "Oh, you got it."
He was like, I keep hearing about how we've had the hardest schedule and we've got the easiest schedule remaining. I'm waiting for that shit to start. And I was like, I retweeted him like, just brother, you got to wait till March and April because I was like, I was like trying to figure out when the easy stretch was going to start too because I'm like, it's not coming anytime soon. Here's the guy. Don't worry, brother.
So good.
But like, if we get to March and April, and like the last 20 games, it's like 11 of them are just against Pistons, Wizards, Hornets, 2 against the Hawks. Like, it gets really the Suns who stink. Like the schedule gets pretty light down the stretch.
Maybe it's the Lamar Stevens portion of the season there, Jake, where finally it's like, okay, this is what we got you for, like a starter-ish caliber player. We're going to roll you out here if you could just play most of the last 20 games at high minutes load. That's what we pay you for.
Is that the Jordan Walsh stretch?
Oh, please God.
Please God.
That dude is a sniper from 3 in the G League, apparently, which is awesome to see. All right, well, look, we should probably leave it there. We love Walshy, but when we get to Walshy talk, it's usually a good indicator that we've burnt through the run sheet. So, Jake, any final remarks before we wrap this one up?
Oh, good comment from Footnotes here. Brissett, the new Giannis stopper. Did they secretly rest Brissett tonight in preparation? Because I actually think Lamar Stevens is the Giannis stopper. He's sturdier. I think he's actually quite like fucking out of this world strong. And so I would be getting Brissett in there tomorrow. Just beat the crap out of them. Holiday for 30, not a bad bet tomorrow. Look, I'm excited, man. I'm going to be, so playback tomorrow, playback.celtics /Celtics blog. I'm going to put it in the chat here. We're handing out League Pass codes. I just realized the person who won today, I've forgotten who won. So I'm going to have to try and go back through the chat and figure out who it is and give that to them. But we're handing out a free month of League Pass tomorrow. So if you don't have League Pass, you got a chance to win that. And it's just good vibes. So if you didn't see the first part of this show, rewind and you can see what it's like in the playback show, just freaking out in the last minute of overtime. And hey, man, 29-8. Pretty good.
Hell yeah. The vibes are great here as they are in the playback room, playback.tv/Celtics blog. So much fun. If you haven't joined that room already, I highly recommend it. And if you don't have League Pass, like Jake said, there's a giveaway going there. So well worth your time checking out. Thank you to everyone in the chat here live on YouTube. This has been great. All your comments, we read them all, whether it's live during the show or after the fact. So again, subscribe, leave your comments because we read them all. They make us feel great. Most of them, a couple of Lakers fans getting their hands dirty there, but it's always great to see your feedback. This has been another edition of Celtics Late Night. Until next time, see ya.